This is my Clarke MIG Welder. It's fairly old. I think it's about 15 years old. It's a 205TE turbo. It's about 185 amps. It's been fairly reliable. I did have one faulty relay on a board, which was actually the soldering on the board. I fixed that. The main problem with it is the torch is a fairly small torch on it, and it's affixed to the machine torch rather than a removable Euro torch. I'm going to put a bigger torch on. Originally it came with a swan neck that took the larger size of tips, but I replaced it with a hobby one because that was all I could get at the time. But it's not great. So you do get conversion kits for these. So I'm going for the MB25 size torch with the Euro connector. So I got a kit in. Gives you the connector part that goes on the machine, and a base to mount it onto. That screws onto the front of the machine, and then you have the big plug-in Euro connector, and then a 25 size torch with the big shroud and the 6mm screw threaded tips that screw in. I must go and get some more 0.8 tips because the one they supplied with was a 1mm, and I've only got 0.6s left in my box, so I need to go and get some 0.8s. This one has a little ball arrangement to make it easier to pivot the gun round about. It's considerably larger size than the one that was on it. I'll do a quick comparison. As you can see, that was the original one. So what I have to do is get inside and unscrew the original fitting. And then feed the liner back up to where the roller is. And that's your connection for the switch, and then you've got your gas connection. Oh, I need to open the size of the hole up here. It might be about right actually. Just pull the wire back out of the torch, snip the end off first to take off any burrs. And the tricky thing is not to let this wire spring about and make a bird's nest. Fit it through there, stick that through there, back out the road so it doesn't poke me. Right, that's that bit. So, a couple of screws there to come out, and I'll probably have to take that block off as well. Take the connection off there. Tricky to get in that one. Take this off. Yep, definitely heard something fall off the bat. yeah, nuts go all the way through into the back of the machine. I'll need to recover that from the inside. There it is, found it. That's the second one. Right, let's solve that mystery. Oh, come off. Usually where I stab myself. That's it. Right, I need to undo the nut for the big tag on it. It's the main power connection. That's the old torch off. I just need to take this cover off and get in there with something. Right, that's it dismantled. So ideally that wants to end up in about there somewhere. So I need to realign this so I can clamp it on. Yes, I might have to build a box out the front to get the correct distance. So ideally that wants to sit further out. And not at an angle. Right, I'll have a measure up of that and a think about that. I can shorten this brass stem here, or the threaded portion. There's the bit in the middle, that I push. That rod there that guides the wire through just slides in there, and it fits sticking out in that part, so I can chop this down and reduce the length of that, and that will bring it closer into the front of the machine, although I'll still need to put an angled or a vertical plate on so that it's not sitting at an angle to the motor and the wheel. So it needs to mount on the machine like that, but the front face is at an angle. So I need to make a vertical face on the machine. If I can get this closer into the machine, where when I've tried it on there it was sticking out, you know, about here somewhere. This part just unscrews. It's a grub screw holding it, locking it in place. But you can unscrew it. So that unscrews. You can take out the tube from the centre and chop it down to the length you require so you can bolt it in. So I shall need to go and do some fairly accurate measuring and make up a plinth for the front of the machine to take the plastic mount for this. So I made up a little box to go in the front. Not the prettiest thing in the world, but functional. So drill some holes in there for some rivets to put it on, and then I'll drill 3 holes to secure that. Seems okay. Get in there. Not bad. Right, there's the gas valve in here. I just need to take this existing pipe off. That's it. Old pipe's just too short. Sharp edges in that. Ouch. Just get a tie wrap around that pipe just to seal it off. Right, you splice in the connector from the old torch into the wiring for the new ones. Should do. It just connects up with that plug there. Like that. And the gas pipe goes through and connects into the new plug. Right, I've removed the top cover, pulled it back so I can get into the 2 hidden nuts in there. Couldn't get my fingers in from the bottom, so I can get in from the top and put the nuts in. Right, that's the clamp to the brass block in there, and the main power connection's on. Reconnect that before I forget. Tuck that way down out the road. Gas pipe's on. So we just now have the little cover to put on here that clamps the end of the tube for the wire. Small screwdriver. That's that. Make sure it plugs in still. plugs in and tightens up. Right, still to tighten up the 2 grub screws, that's what I need to do. So the grub screws in, and remember to tighten the grub screw that holds the brass screwed bar in. I'd forgotten to tighten it off as well. So we've got it all lined up. Covers back on. Tie wrap on those, stop them tangled up. Right, it's a case of powering it up now and feeding the wire through. But yet again, I need to tidy up the tools. Right, plug it in. Feed a bit. And then in the middle. Straighten this out. Okay, wire feed motor is working fine. Feed the wire through. Okay, let's see if I can feed the wire. We have it, wire through. Must remember I'm going to change the tip for a 0.8, that's a 1mm, a bit slack. So far, success. There we go, it works. Excellent. So I can stow the torch inside the unit so it doesn't stick out, because when it's mounted it makes the cable quite long, it's rigid out to about here. It's quite different to park it away in a corner, so take it off, put the protective cap on and stick the torch inside. quite good.